He says, if I'm focusing on someone else's filthy behavior, unintentionally, I'm bringing filthiness into my own energy field. I'm bringing filthiness into my own consciousness. And so I love myself so much that I will have the awareness, I will keep the wisdom, I will keep the clarity, I will keep the ability to be present and engaged and to nobly share light using my talents and my skill sets in the way that the divine wants to share light through me. And I will respectfully decline to carry enmity around in my consciousness. And I will respectfully decline to carry anything other than light around in my consciousness. And so no matter what it is that we experience, if we allow all things to help us go deeper into light, worry will melt away. Good morning, welcome, 1,000 welcomes to you all. And we are meditating on heaven on earth transcends all duality. Both phrases come from Swami Shankarananda. And this is what he says about how to connect with heaven on earth and the way in which it transcends all duality. To find this eternal heaven, we must enter our own consciousness, shutting the door to the sensory world. Only by entering the closet of our own inner consciousness, only by seeking inwardly, can we become aware of the kingdom of God. Heaven is that state of consciousness which transcends all duality, all limitations, all finiteness, and all change. It is this eternal reality we attain by spiritual practice. And so one of the things, just to do a quick check-in, if over the course of the week, if you have experienced fear, if you have experienced worry, if you have experienced resentment or anger or frustration, or you're just resisting what is in any way, offer that honestly to the light within yourself. So there's an altar of light in the heart of each of us. Be honest about your feelings. Offer whatever the feelings are to the light within you, and then say, and I'm willing to go deeper. I'm willing to go deeper than whatever this feeling is. I'm willing to go deeper than the frustration or the resentment. I'm willing to open into the energy of the solution. I'm willing to open into the energy of peace, into the energy of kindness. And when we practice diligently in that particular way, like Swami Shankarananda says, there's no substitute for turning within. And so please rededicate ourselves to our practices of meditation, of prayer, of being of service, and giving ourselves perhaps, like if we are aware that we are moving through a cycle of change, or we are aware that the country or the planet is moving through a cycle of change, it might be great to give yourself even a little extra quiet, like a little extra connection with the energy of the earth and the sky and the trees and the mountains and the plants and the animals and kids. I'll talk with you about that in a second. But with what is precious, with what is fresh, with what is beautiful, with what you love, and to allow yourselves to stay very, very connected to that energy of what you love. And so if peace is what you love, then you are making a joyful choice. You are saying, peace is more important to me than any human reactivity that I'm experiencing. It's more important to me than anything else. And so I'm going to go deeper than anything else in order to be in that energy of peace. And then I'm going to allow the energy of peace to share through me. And so Swami Shankarananda also says this. This is actually, and I'm sharing this passage and I'll share an example because I want to make it clear, this is actually our natural state. This is not something complicated. It's not something far away. It's not something hard. Like, we don't have to go to India and live in a cave to connect with this. And it's right where we are. It's right in the midst of daily life. And it's not, Swami Premananda always used to say, spirituality does not mean being sanctimonious. Like, you're not walking around going like, oh, look how spiritual I'm being. You're just naturally you, being your best you in daily life. That's what spirituality is. And so we're kind of letting go of this idea that it's hard, and we're letting go of this idea that it's somewhere other than right where I am. It's like right where I am. And so Swami Shankarananda says, in self-realization, pure God consciousness, God's will is always manifesting because there is no ego consciousness present to ignore, resist, or deny it. Of course, like this is natural. When we let go of separateness, then what's here is just connectedness. And then what results, he says, truly heaven is the state of harmony, of union, of blissfulness. God's will is very obvious when we are in a state of harmony. When you have harmony, you have no resistance to God's will, for you are fully cognizant of the fact that the state of harmony is God's will. And so I'll just give a very simple example. Where I live, there's a little cul-de-sac, and so there's not very much traffic. And so like last night, there were about 6 little kids playing there. And it's very kingdom of heaven. Like there was a little kid picnic table, there were like scooters, there were bicycles, there were like balls. Everyone plays with everyone's toys, like everyone's learning, everyone's sharing. There's parents who cycle in, like there's usually at least 2 parents at any given time who are like overseeing this. And sometimes there's more, sometimes there's like 6 parents there as well. And it's just like this field of beauty and joy and innocence. And it's a really nice combination of, I was kind of noticing the way that the parents interact. They are loving, supportive, present, and aware, but they also give their kids freedom. So the kids have freedom to explore and to play and to learn and to grow and to fall if they need to fall in order to learn how to pick back up. But if they need a hug, then there's a hug there for them as well. And so I think this was Wednesday night. I took out my garbage and then I took out my recycling, and there was just this one little boy outside. I didn't know he was outside, but he kicked a soccer ball to me. And so I kicked a soccer ball back. And you could see his parents were like half a block away and they were watching, and I kind of waved at them. And then he immediately started showing me how to kick better. Because he's like 6 or 7 and he knows soccer more than I do. This was very obvious to him and he was very helpful. And so I was like learning, and it was so amazing. It was so fun. And then his dad came over and he was like, I just want you to know you might be here all night. And I was like, this is much more exciting than taking out the garbage. And so it's just natural. Like there was no plan. It just spontaneously, like that is our natural state. So when the love and the support is there, and we have the freedom to play, the freedom to explore, the freedom to learn and to grow, and to learn like how to kick a soccer ball, like whatever age we are, we're always able to keep learning, then that's what's natural, and that's what we share. And there's a process that each of us can go through to help create this for ourselves. So what I just described, it's like the ideal. It's the love and the support, but also the freedom. Right? And so for ourselves, I noticed, a little bit later, the dad came back and he started making dinner plans with the boy. And so eating, like the Bhagavad Gita says, let me eat in a way that creates balance within my body. And that actually helps me have the access, the connection to love and support and freedom. The Bhagavad Gita also says, and you could tell the next thing after dinner was going to be sleep, right? And then the next day it was going to be school. And then there's this kind of like balance, so that then after school, then you're back playing soccer again, right? And so for yourself, create that balance with sleep. The Bhagavad Gita also says, don't sleep too much, don't sleep too little, don't eat too much, don't eat too little. And so just to give yourself that balance, and to know that each of us, and I know this can be tenderhearted, not every child has that complete love and support that I just described. And so if you did not have that, as an adult, give yourself that complete love and support. If your parents, if your family were not able to give that to you as an adult, extend that love and support to yourself, and extend that ability to play. Extend that ability to explore, that ability to learn how to kick a soccer ball, whatever age you are, and to just give yourself that spirit of fun. And that's back to not making it too serious and not taking yourself too seriously, like giving yourself that play and that fun. So I'm going to share a couple of passages from the Bhagavad Gita. And again, for ourselves, we're opening to feel within ourselves. If people joined us midstream, I shared earlier that Swami Shankarananda talks about what he calls total, total, total love. 3 totals. 1 is not enough. And so the invitation for each of us is, and genuinely ask, am I loving myself with total, total, total love? Am I loving the divine with total, total, total love. And am I loving, I'll call it the substratum of all that is, with total, total, total love. And what that happens is, it allows you to love beyond personality. Phrasing it that way, the substratum of all that is, allows you to not get hung up on if you see people who are departing from love and support and freedom. If you see people who are consumed by the lust for fame or power or greed, that can happen in time and space. And Swami Shankarananda says that is an indicator they are feeling cut off from unconditional love. And so just to have that awareness, to have that clarity, to have that compassion. And what he says is this, I'm going to share his phrasing, it's really interesting. I don't have to identify with their behavior. I don't have to go along with their thinking. Love in them that God loves in them. And what happens then is you're free. You're free from reactivity. You're free from judgment. And so just do a little check-in, little indicator for yourself. How free from judgment was I this last week? So Swami Shankarananda says, if you want an indicator of spiritual advancement or spiritual unfoldment, it's how non-judgmental am I? And so to give yourself the gift of loving yourself so much that you keep the clarity, you keep the discernment, you're in contact with reality, but you let go of judgment. And what he says about that is, he says, if I'm focusing on someone else's filthy behavior, unintentionally, I'm bringing filthiness into my own energy field. I'm bringing filthiness into my own consciousness. And so I love myself so much that I will have the awareness, I will keep the wisdom, I will keep the clarity, I will keep the ability to be present and engaged and to nobly share light using my talents and my skill sets in the way that the divine wants to share light through me. And I will respectfully decline to carry enmity around in my consciousness. And I will respectfully decline to carry anything other than light around in my consciousness. And so no matter what it is that we experience, if we allow all things to help us go deeper into light, worry will melt away. And so for yourself, anywhere that you were wrestling or struggling, or there's something that you are feeling judgment in relation to, in that place, I invite myself to go deeper into light. And I allow worry to melt away. I allow myself to feel total, total, total love in that place where I have felt worry, where I have felt fear, where I have felt concern. When we are able to connect with that, we're able to connect with what is deeper than the pairs of opposites. And so the Bhagavad Gita, this is from chapter 2, says, whenever the senses are identified with the sense objects, the feelings of heat and cold, pleasure and pain are produced. These come and go. They are temporary in their nature. Bear them patiently. That human alone is fit to attain immortality, who remains serene and undisturbed in pleasure and pain. And so what this tells you is that the pairs of opposites, they're part of duality. Sometimes we experience things that we prefer in time and space, and sometimes we move through things that we don't prefer. And it says, be patient. Remain serene and undisturbed, no matter what it is that you're experiencing. I'll share with you, so this is a story that makes me smile, from Howard Thurman. Often something will happen, and it happens, and we're looking for kind of like a cosmic explanation. And so when he was 11, I think it was, he broke his arm. And he was looking for a cosmic explanation, just like, why is this my fate? And he went to his grandmother, and she said, you broke your arm because you fell on it. And so to keep that sense of humor, that sense of wisdom, that sense of perspective, non-preferred, right? Like if you can avoid it, please do. But if it happened, then you just say, okay, it happened. And now how can I align with healing? How can I align with, like if we let go of the why did this happen to me, then you're just allowing yourself to align with healing. And so to allow the healing to be present as joyfully and easily and promptly as possible. And that happens when we're not resisting, when we're not struggling.
Welcome. My name's Dhruv, and you have arrived at Awake Yoga Meditation. If you are enjoying this content, please consider subscribing below, liking, or sharing this content. It helps get the word out. And if you're interested in deepening your happiness and joy in your life, consider subscribing to our Substack or going to our website at awakeyogameditation.org for more information. Thank you.
Howard Thurman also shares this, and very frequently he makes me cry, so we'll see if I can talk about this without crying. But he says, and I'm inviting you to think about this, have you ever had that moment in your body where you think, I've just used up all my physical energy? It's not here. And then something happens, and there's more physical energy there. And you're able to respond to your child or your parent or your friend or your partner or whoever needs your help, your neighbor. And the same thing can actually happen with the mind. So sometimes the mind is just like, that's it, I'm done. I saw a former colleague, a professor, who said to me once, I think I broke my brain. She was like, it's just not working anymore, it's not thinking. And so, but then a second wind came. More energy came. And the same thing can happen with our heart or our spirit. We can think, my heart it's too full of aching. It's too full of breaking. I'm tired. And then what happens is that more love can flow to us. More energy can flow to us. That allows us to keep going. And in relation to that, this is what Howard Thurman says. He says, we are able to go beyond what we thought we were able to do or to experience. And so to make yourself available to that, whatever your human body is experiencing, whatever your mind, whatever your heart or spirit are experiencing, to open and make yourself available to go beyond what you thought you were able to do or to experience. The energy that makes that possible is total, total, total love. And to allow that current of total, total, total love to be with you in every cell of your body. He says this, the spirit in the human is not easily vanquished. It is fragile and tough. You may fail again and again, and yet something will not let you give up. It is this quality that makes for survival of values when the circumstances of one's life are most against decency, goodness, and right. Humans hold on when there seems to be no point in holding on because they find that they must hold on. It is often at such a point that the spirit in humans and the spirit of God blend into one creative illumination. This is the great miracle. And so allow yourself to open your spirit to that spirit of the divine and allow that pure creative energy of the divine to fill you with what seems not possible. And what he's saying, we all know this because we've all gone through this. Things happen in time and space that seem impossible. And sometimes this is another thing that it really is a very tender thing for the heart to realize, but sometimes a friend is going through something, or a child is going through something, or a parent or someone we know and love is going through something, and we can't lift it from them. And we love anyway. We walk with them anyway. And there is such open-heartedness, there is such vulnerability in those moments, not being able to lift that diagnosis from the one you love, not being able to carry that pain for the one you love, and knowing nonetheless that your being with them makes it possible for them to keep going forward. And so walking forward together in the light, opening and allowing that creative spirit of the divine to fill your spirit totally. Making yourself present, making yourself available. And it allows you to accomplish what otherwise seems not possible to accomplish. I want to share with you, this is in line with what we've been meditating on. The Katha Upanishad says That self-existent one created us with our senses outgoing, so they turn outward to the world rather than inward to the light within us. And what Adi Shankar, who founded the ancient Swami order, says about that, Swami Shankarananda was named after Adi Shankar. Adi Shankar says about that our own attention is like a river, and it flows out into the things of the world, but we can learn to turn the current of that river within, to feel the light within ourselves. And that's what Howard Thurman is talking about. Like when we are aware of our own spirit, and we are aware of the spirit of the divine within ourselves, that is the turning within. That is the allowing the current of our senses to not flow outwards so much. And so think about this, like the eyes, the ears, the nose, the mouth, all of the senses, all of the faculties, your sense of touch. Take all of that energy, and I'm going to invite us to meditate right now. Take all of that energy and invite yourself to turn it within. And so the energy that was flowing outward, just invite that same current of energy, that same river of energy to flow within. And so I'm closing my eyes. You're welcome to close your eyes if you like to do so. But what you are inviting yourself to do, and this is a very classic yogic meditation, but you are inviting yourself within your own heart to become aware that total love is right there at the core of your heart. More love than you have ever received in any lifetime is there at the core of your heart. And you're opening and allowing yourself to greet and be greeted by, to be supported by that total love at the core of your heart. And then you're inviting the current of attention that usually flows outward through the senses to be turned inward to this current of total love. What the yogis say is, I'm putting the invitation in words, see without seeing the inner light. Hear without hearing the inner stillness. Let yourself rest in non-arising of separateness. So you're inviting yourself to feel the way total love pervades the whole universe and is the substratum of all that is. And you're inviting your mind to not move in any direction. So I'll say that again one more time and then give us some stillness. And what the yogis say is that if we invite the energy of the senses to turn within in that way, bliss wells up in all of the directions of the senses. So see without seeing the inner light. Hear without hearing the inner stillness. Mind not moving in any direction. Bliss wells up in all directions. This is a meditation to return to as often as you like. And I'll also just mention, so this energy of seeing without seeing the inner light, hearing without hearing the inner stillness, that puts you in contact with pure divine energy, pure creative energy, the pure spirit of the divine, infinitely renewable, expansiveness, creativity, joy, generosity, love, laughter, wholehearted harmony, everything that you love. And so allow that energy to flow to you into your body, your mind, your heart, your life. Allow that energy to heal and lift from you the weightiness of any pain that you have felt like you have been carrying. Keep the wisdom and let the light lift from you the heaviness of the pain. Allow that light to fill you with a sense of trust that you are open to highest good. And you are allowing yourself to listen quietly to highest good from moment to moment. And so what is speaking through you is highest good. What is thinking through you is highest good. What is making choices through you is highest good. And as you make yourself available to this continual flow of light, that light paves your way so that you walk on a pathway of light into a future you love, welcoming everyone to that pathway of light who loves light and whose hearts cry out for connection, for caring, for understanding, for being in contact with the sweetness and the goodness and the strength and the beauty and the harmony that underlies all that is. Thank God, and God bless us all.